Hey there, rednecks, preppies, redneck preppies. It's me, the Redneck Preppy. How you doing today? Great? Good. Yeah, it's back. Another episode of Bubba Guns designed only to provoke me into life-threatening rage. I do tend to do one of these once every 2 months, but the last one seemed like yesterday, so yeah. I guess that's one of the punishments of hell, right? Enduring something horrible on a perpetual basis. Anyway, enough of the existential nightmare that is my life. Let's get to the Bubbas. Yep, we're starting out right away with the Mosin Nagant M9130s. Why wait? Let's get them out of the way. So yes, a tactical Mosin, not the first time we've seen this sort of atrocity. This one made me laugh like listening to a gender-confused member of Gen Z. You have a pistol grip turned forward grip to imply you shoot it from the hip or shoulder, I guess, and another pistol grip at the back. But you also have a bipod mounted on a comically short barrel, salted with some sort of optic on top and the abortion of a buttstock, and you have one of the other 64 genders liberals believe in the form of a rifle. I think I'm going to pass on this one. Okay, if that last one was a confused boy, then, well, why not? This one can be a confused girl. Underfolder stock combined with a bipod? Makes sense to someone, I suppose. Again, add the cheap red dot sight and hacked-on pistol grip, and Bob's your uncle. Well, these days, Bob might not be your uncle anymore, if you get my drift. And there's that magazine again, the one that you see on what seems like half of all the bubba'd up Mosin Nagants out there lately. It's the gun equivalent of the pink-haired androgynous woman who made sure everyone knew she hated Donald Trump and lists preferred pronouns in her Twitter profile. Alright, after those last two, we need a bit of a palate cleanser. Well, as much as a Bubba gun can do that. We don't see the front half of the rifle, but there's more than enough going on back here to keep us busy. So someone took a perfectly good bolt handle on a Mosin, took it off, and then welded on something. I can't even see how that would be more functional. They have some kind of riser or pick rail thing on the top, and it's all wrapped up on some god-awful polymer stock with an even uglier paint job. Again, I'm not sure I understand what this build is supposed to be. I suppose a hunting rifle of some sort. I do know that it's wrong on all levels. Okay, I don't want to be a drama queen, but I almost had a Red Fox level heart attack. For those of you who are 50 and above, you will get that reference when I saw this. And if you're confused, and I don't blame you, this was a Mauser action rifle of some kind. I won't even try and guess what it started out life as. They took what was probably a perfectly fine rifle, I mean it is a Mauser action, and turned it into a bullpup rifle. I don't even understand the thought process of who would take what is probably a rifle, firing a full power round, making it lighter by cutting down the barrel, converting it into a bullpup, and putting it on a stock that would seem uncomfortable to shoot. Not to mention bullpupping a bolt-action rifle? Oh, and mount a scope in a manner that would make your cheek weld on top of the receiver. Someone actually marshaled some talent and hard work and made this. Okay, so I don't know if this is a legitimate Lee Enfield No. 5 Mark I or Jungle Carbine for you plebs, because they certainly faked a pile of these things, but Bubbas are wont to do the most damage possible to valuable things, so I'm going to assume that it is. What's infuriating about this is that just enough was done to ruin the rifle to make you think you could save it. Get a reproduction stock and you could conceivably restore this carbine back to her glory, but then you would always have a rifle with a fake stock. A stupid pistol grip and an AR-15 buffer tube is all it took to ruin this rifle. Oh, and it was rechambered in 7.62 by 39mm, a choice I'm not even going to pretend to understand. You know what, keep your, "But Preppy, it's cheaper to shoot than 303 British." Shut up. You wanted a Lee Enfield, you accept that 303 British comes along with it. Okay, here's another rage inducer. Someone took a Luger and made some piece of crap that gloms on the look of an AK-47. You know, I don't know where this thing was spat out into the world, but I'm pretty sure you can buy a cheap AK in almost any country they're legal in. But no, you take a perfectly good Luger pistol, which I would sacrifice someone to the dark gods to own, and then do a horrible job attaching AK furniture and parts to. You know what? I apologize. I said horrible job. That implies there was a way to do this elegantly and make it look good. Someone did this and is proud of it, and they need to be butt-stroked by this abomination. Okay, so I'm going to be honest with you. I'm part of the crowd that hates M14s. Decades after the Germans and Soviets showed the way with assault rifles that fired an intermediate round, the United States went full FUD and still believed that you could only go to war with a full power round, only to nope out of that decision a few years later with the M16. Even with that, turning an M14 into some tactical rifle is lame as hell. I suspect the blurriness of this picture, and I apologize for that, but I don't take or post these pictures. I just steal them for the videos. Makes it actually look better than it really is. I don't know. It's too hard to get worked up about a rifle that's like the child who ends up collecting scrap metal for a living, while the other children end up being doctors or something. Okay, we saw something molested into an AK-47. Why not an AK-47 molested by the Jeffrey Epstein of wood carvers? Yes, someone decided that buying wood furniture for their AK-47 would be too easy, so they grabbed some wood and a jigsaw and went to work. You know, AKs are a lot like ARs. There are a million of them out there, so it's hard to get too upset when some Bubba takes a perfectly good one and does this to it. But sweet Jesus, at least put some effort into it. I made a better looking flower vase in grade 8 woodworking class that my mother promptly put out of view on the highest shelf on the house, you know, to honor it, she said, than the stock of this rifle. Hell, at least mine had a curve on it. Can you imagine holding and shooting this thing for a few magazines? Wait, let's not give up on the AKs just yet, because here's another one. And yes, it is bullpupped, but I guess the Bubba decided he might go back on his decision one day because he left the old trigger guard attached. Sweet idea, let's take a rifle with your standard military trigger and make it worse with a bullpup trigger. Sprinkle in some raised sights in that air quote stock, and you have this. I don't know. You know, I've seen so many rifles bullpupped over the years that I almost can't muster a rage anymore. It's like someone poking a dead horse with a stick at this point. What the actual hell?
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Okay, I know what you're thinking. Redneck, it's an MG42. What's the problem? Take a closer look. It's an MG42 like one of those ladies you were talking to in that bar in Thailand. Parts of the receiver are homemade. The trigger isn't legit. The furniture is obviously the result of a skilled woodworker. But look at the barrel area. Yeah, this was an AK pattern rifle once. Honestly, I don't know whether to be impressed or horrified. Does this actually feed belts? If so, did he take a real MG42 action and graft it onto an AK? Another belt feed mechanism? Or did he fabricate one of his own? There are so many questions I have. I'm honestly not mad, although a bit disgusted by it, if this thing actually works. Pity the poor Ruger Mini 14, always the less loved child in the 223-556 family, derided as inaccurate and overly expensive, at best a truck gun. Why buy a Mini 14 when you could buy an AR, people ask. Of course, in Canada, that question is no longer asked since both rifles were essentially banned last year, but had that not happened, I could have seen myself buying an M14 one day. All that said, taking a perfectly good rifle and obrezzing it is a crime against the gun gods. Now, I have to admit that, at least judging by this awful picture, that the job was at least reasonably well done, and the 223 round isn't exactly an earth shaker when it comes to recoil. So, I guess a Mini 14 isn't the worst rifle to abrez. Now, despite my ambivalence about the Mini 14, though, I have to say that this saddens me. It's like a marginal-looking woman dyeing her hair blue, purple, or pink and shaving the sides to stubble. It's not the worst loss, but, I don't know, it's still kind of ugly to see. Alright, I'm going to be honest with you, I have no idea what the donor firearm was that became this insanity. It has elements of a Mac machine pistol, but I doubt that's what it was. And part of it reminds me of an Uzi, but it obviously isn't that either. Whatever the hell it was, this end result is a travesty. Stupid trigger, horrible paint job, skateboard tape on the grip, a laser grafted onto the front. But the only nice thing I can say about it is at least the Holosun Red sight isn't horrible. You know, I've never met someone, well, that I know of at least, that would look at this and want it. So I'm not even going to pretend to understand the mindset. Yeah, I get it. It's your property. You can do with it as you like. But you can tell a lot about a person by what they desire, whether it's women or guns. And this tells me I don't want to know them. Merciful Jesus. The amount of work that went into turning a regular pistol into a carbine here would have been equivalent to the amount of time you could have spent at work and to earn enough money to buy a pistol caliber carbine. They even went to the trouble of welding on a bolt handle to this pig. You know, there's honestly no part of this I can look at without wanting to mount some criticism. The garbage barrel shroud, the amateurish receiver cover, the awful buttstock, and then let's top it off with an Amazon quality red dot sight. You know, there's someone out there who just thinks this is the jam and probably shows it off whenever he can. Well, one good turn deserves another, and at least this time it was a high point. I think this was a C9 that was molested by the tender mercies of a Bubba. What's to say about this? On every level, this is the dumbest thing you can do to a handgun. You know, one of the worst things that happened in society is that we got rid of shaming and public humiliation. Well, at least the old school version of it. Because anyone who does this should be ostracized by the gun community. Yes, even to people who do it to a high point. You know what, for God's sakes, High Point actually sells ugly pistol caliber carbines that you can buy. You don't need to put in the effort to do it yourself to one of their pistols. Is this the best for last? You know, I don't know which Beretta Extreme Plus shotgun this is. They have a bunch of models, but according to the website, these things are touching nearly $2,000. So someone took a relatively expensive shotgun and then spent probably a ton of money to add ghetto Louis Vuitton logos all over the place. Part of me is surprised, by the way, that this isn't in a camo pattern. I can imagine some prole coming up with this as an idea and thinking it's boss, but a business out there in Texas, of all places, was so proud of this job that they actually posted it on social media. You know, the people at R&R Custom Laser Works might be fine people, but if I lived anywhere near there, I'd actually be calling for a boycott for doing this to a nice shotgun. What kind of person would want this? And what kind of person would actually help in accomplishing that dream? Okay, I think I need to take a shower because I feel very grimy right now. I think the one that broke me was the bullpup Mauser rifle. Though I have to admit that shotgun gave it a good run for its money as well. There is no God. At any rate, which one of these hurt you? Feel free to tell us in the comments section where the bad man touched you. At any rate, I hope you enjoy the remainder of your day, and may all of your shots ring true, and for God's sakes, don't bubba any rifles or handguns. Take care, and bye-bye.